this video, we're going to take a look at one of the most powerful features of command, and that is the ability to execute scenarios completely, including data analysis, in a command line environment. This is going to give you the ability, of course, to go ahead and run them without a graphic user interface, which is going to improve performance, but it will also give you the ability to simultaneously run multiple copies of command in order to go ahead and run through it. Now, there's a couple different techniques we want to be keeping in mind here. We can either execute them through a direct command line script. For example, if we were to type in command prompt, make our way to our folder, and then we can simply type in our command in order to go ahead and get that activated. In this case, we're going to be looking for typing in command CLI. After we do that, we simply have to go ahead and issue any particular command that we want. Now, the first thing you're always going to do whenever you're doing anything inside the command prompt is you're always going to be using the mode known as Monte Carlo mode. To do that, we're simply going to do -mode MC. After we define that, we simply have to go ahead and define exactly what the path to our scenario file is. In this case, I'll do a send file. We'll do it in quotes, d:/CMOPE/scenario/ and we'll go ahead and do example1.scen. After we've defined the mode, the scenario file, we can then go ahead and add any other items that we need to do. For example, we can define the output folder that we'd like to use. So I can type in output folder, and then I can simply do the path. So in this case, I'll go ahead and do d:/CMOPE. We'll do analysis CLI. And now this will use this as my particular location for the different command line information that I'm going to do. The next one that's commonly going to be used in a command line is going to be the iterations command. This simply defines how many times you're going to run a given scenario. I'll type in iterations, and I'll simply say 2 for this particular situation. Our next option in a command line is going to give us the ability to go ahead and create a recording interval. For example, I want everything to record every 5 seconds, or I want everything to record every 10 seconds. It's totally up to you how you'd like to do this. If you leave it blank, it's going to do the default a number of times. It's going to be the course interval. So now when I press the enter key, the program will attempt to go on and grab all those scenario files and then set up my output. Before I do that, I might mention here that under your configuration file, whatever your event export is set to is going to be what the default export is. In this case, if I were to actually have run this command line interface, I would get nothing exported because we've set the active exporter to none. So in this case, I'm simply going to say CSV. Press File, press Save. Now I can go ahead and execute my command line. So what this is going to do now is it's going to go ahead and grab that program. It's going to open up the simulation. It's going to do any sort of checks that need to be done. And as soon as it tries to do it, it will go ahead and generate everything. Now notice we've gotten an error here saying it was unable to create ourselves an output folder. The reason for this is we used an improper path. So I'm simply going to press the pass key. We're going to go ahead and clean that little mistake real quickly. Let's try that. Now we can see again, we've also gotten an illegal character inside of us. In this case, the mistake was including the extra slash directly after the I. Now I simply come to the end of this and go ahead and run my command, and then go ahead and press the enter key. Now what it will do is it'll go ahead and open that file up, go ahead and do all of its analysis, and it'll run the entire scenario. And you can see down here with the current time in the scenarios, as well as any sort of event queue that we're doing. In this case, we're not sending too much data because it's not a very complicated scenario. Now notice after it finishes the first iteration, it goes ahead and works itself on the second iteration, which you can see is running much quicker than should we have done it in the regular Monte Carlo analysis inside of command. Now, where the real power for this actually comes in is not the fact that the scenarios can run faster, although that's an excellent benefit. It's the fact that you have the ability to parallel run scenarios. So to do that, we usually use a batch file. In Windows, to do that the simple way, we're simply going to right-click somewhere. I'm going to say New, and I'm simply going to select a text file. So after create the text document, I'm simply going to say command CLI, and we'll go ahead and change the extension to a BAT file. It'll give you a little bit of an error message. We're simply going to press yes. I'll go ahead and right click on this and press the edit option. Now we can go ahead and dial in all the different functions that we need to it directly, and now we can actually have it go ahead and copy most of these back to back. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and type in command CLI and go ahead and copy everything I did this way. However, I'm going to simultaneously run a second one of these using a separate scenario. So go ahead and copy that. Paste that one, and I'm going to change it to example 2. Now, if you're using a batch file to run these, it's worth noting that if you do this, you want to make sure your output folders are separate. So I'm going to go ahead and do 2. I'm going to go ahead and set this one to 1. The next thing I'm going to do is instead of typing command CLI, I'm going to type in the word start command CLI. So what this is going to do is it's going to actually activate this parallel, and we'll go ahead and see exactly what that does in a moment. So I'm going to save this, close it, close my existing command prompt, and now we have the ability to go ahead and activate our BAT file. I'm I double click this and you can see it instantly started 2 simultaneous programs running Monte Carlo analyses and basically parallel. Now this is a wonderful situation where if you have a very, very large system with a bunch of scenarios and servers connected to each other, you can run this very, very quickly and very, very efficiently.